Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast, Episode 2. I'm your host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Shawn-Caulin Young, an LGBTQ American actor, writer, director, and producer of film and television. Best known for his distinctive character roles on such hit shows as GODLESS, Santa Clarita Diet, and True Detective, Shawn-Caulin was most recently celebrated for his poignant and award-winning portrayal of a real-life transgender inmate in the critically acclaimed feature film Heart Baby, now known as The Hammer. Please enjoy Shawn-Caulin Young. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today we are here with Shawn-Caulin Young, a dear, dear friend of mine. I'm so happy to have you. Thanks so much for joining us. How's it going?
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad that I paid you to say those wonderful things about me.
Oh, please. Please.
It's going, this is such an interesting time in human history. And I personally believe the most exciting time to be alive on this planet. Mm-hmm. And speaking of creativity, that's why I think it's the most exciting time to be alive on the planet, because we have the opportunity to create whatever.
Right?
And restart. And that's awesome.
That is awesome. I love that perspective to say that even with all the struggle that we're all experiencing and challenges and stress, we also have immense opportunity to create and make new choices and put out new experiences in our lives.
Totally. Yeah. I think it's, for me, that's where I'm at, is like, as the old world has metaphorically died, mm-hmm. My old self goes with it. That's how I view it, is letting go. And I'm like, what do I want to create? Who do I want to be? Who am I authentically?
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what's happening now. It's like, thank God I went to therapy.
Oh, yes.
Thank God I started this process like a year and a half ago.
Perfect.
Before shit hit the fan. But yeah, so that's
nice.
Where I'm at. So I'm good.
Good. Well, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do, where you're at, and anything else you'd like this audience to know.
Well, my name is Shawn-Caulin Young, like my beautiful friend Mari said. I am a storyteller. That's how Mari and I met. We met in college training to be actors.
The actor experience.
Yes, at conservatory. Learning all of the tricks of the trade. But yeah, I'm a storyteller. I've always seen the world from the outsider's perspective. And I think from that, from a very early age, tried to create a reality in which the outsider was the hero of the story. Mm-hmm. And in that pursuit, it's taken me down many different roads and pathways, becoming an actor, to becoming a producer, to becoming a director, and to take off the limitations that I had self-imposed of what I was capable of creating. And I went, you know what? If those schmucks can do it, I can't do any worse. Right? So like, I'm the only person who says that I can't do it. It's all an inside job. It's all a belief system. And so that's what I'm up to. I'm trying to create stories that lead people to, as one of our teachers once said, Sebastian Graham Jones. If you don't know who this man is, I'm not mad at you, because a lot of people wouldn't know who he is. I remember him saying to us, because Mari and I were in a production of Othello in college.
Yeah.
And I brutally slayed her. Because I was playing the devilish Iago. But I remember...
Hi, Amelia. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, wife. Sorry.
It's okay.
But I remember Sebastian saying to us, asking us, why are you doing this? Why are you telling this story? And he, in substance, said, it's not because you want the applause of the audience. It's not because of people giving you accolades afterwards. It's because we are trying to get the person who beats their wife, who does these horrible things that we see in this play, to maybe have a moment where they say, maybe I shouldn't do that. And so that's the pursuit of the stories that I want to create, is hopefully turn on a light for somebody.
Yeah.
Even
moment
if
of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And that's nothing about us. It has nothing to do with us. It's a collective consciousness. So
yeah. When you think about creativity, what does it mean to be creative to you specifically?
I think when I think about what it means to me to be creative, it means stepping outside the comforts of what I believe to be the only way. And really connecting with the still small voice within me and trusting that. That's what I think creativity and creating is for me. It's like getting outside of the story of, is this right? Will people like it? Blah, 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 blah. And really just getting still and quiet and being like, I trust that this thing that is trying to be birthed through me, I can hear it. I can interpret it. And I may not see all the pieces yet. I'm downloading my piece. And then I find fellow collaborators and creatives who download their piece. And then collectively we get together and we all download the whole thing. And hopefully, if we're all out of our egos,
fingers
crossed, and we're all in a state of alignment with what it is that we're trying to create, magic happens.
Yeah. You talked about trusting yourself and trust. And I think that is a really big component of creativity. And I wonder what you do to get to that point of trusting yourself.
What I do to get to that point of trusting myself, I grapple with it every day. It was my number one note that I got in college all the time. Was our professors would say, Shawn, just trust yourself. Just trust yourself. You know what you're doing. But there was still this thing that I went, no, I don't. No, I don't know what I'm doing. That you know more than I do. Tell me, is what I'm creating correct? Is it good? And so to answer your question of how I get to that place of trusting myself, the only way that I've been able to get there was through therapy.
Yeah.
And rewriting the story of who I am. And it was coming to terms with the fact that my pursuit as a storyteller came from a place of just wanting to matter.
Yeah.
I didn't matter in my childhood. That's the thought. That's the belief system that I had. And so when I discovered acting, for the first time, I mattered. People went, you're great. That was good. That was awesome. That was entertaining, whatever. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Okay. Like,
I want more of that.
I want more of that. I want to be that thing that people keep saying, yes, yes, yes. Validation, like what Sebastian said, the accolades, right? And then as time wore on, I was still always miserable.
Mm-hmm.
I was still always tortured. And I never trusted myself because I never thought it was good enough. I never thought that. And now that I am on the other side of that realization,
Mm-hmm.
it's so sweet, because getting to that place of trust is much easier than it used to be, in regards to the fact, like, I don't have the same story dictating every moment of my day.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Changed. Yeah. You put a new cassette in.
Yeah. And so now there's so many more tools. Meditation is one of my biggest. I do a ritual with myself when I create now, where I light a candle. I light a candle, and that's my ceremony. Is like, okay, the light is on. I open myself, I surrender. But that's how I just went, you know what? Throw it against the wall. Let's see what works. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then I went to trusted people and I said, this is what I'm creating. What do you see? And they were like, whoa, or what about this? And I've stopped looking for everybody's approval. And I just ask the opinions of the people whose taste I admire, or whose skills as a storyteller I admire. I don't want to be like
that. Yeah, that's a really good distinction. I think a lot of times we can get caught up in, paying attention to everyone's opinion. And when we distill it down, there may be 2, 3, 4 opinions that really support us to take those next steps.
Right. Yeah.
So you're kind of talking a little bit about challenges when you come up against them, or blocks that you put on yourself. And when you think about creativity and things that block your creativity, what comes up in that realm? Or what comes up for you?
That's that core thread that I've been trying to transmute my entire life, that I don't know.
That storyline.
Yeah. That voice that goes, well, Shawn, you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Shawn, you're going to edit this? Really? You don't know how to do that. But now I'm like, well, I'll learn. So that's the thing. But it shows up in a different form every time.
Yeah.
Now what I grapple with is, like, I will sit down to write or sit down to do something, and my ego, the war of art, comes in and goes, yeah, but you should maybe go organize that closet first.
Oh, big distraction techniques at play.
Right? And then it goes, yeah, but this person over here needs help.
Yeah, so pulling all those strings.
Yeah, go over there and help them. And then I'm like, mother trucker, I was just about to. So that's what I grapple with now. Is like, it's gotten crafty. It's gotten really crafty.
But that makes sense. Like, as you've teased things apart, it's had to get crafty.
Right.
To be that distraction or pull you in the direction it wants to go versus the direction that might be for your highest good.
For sure.
Yeah.
But what I found recently in therapy was, like, that's still the same belief system.
Yeah.
It's still the same, like, I don't matter, you matter more, or this matters more than I do. So if you go and do that thing, then that's the correct thing, because that's what you should be doing.
Right. Relinquishing your power or control to someone else because of whatever story you've created.
Yeah. Codependency is a bitch.
No shit.
She is a bitch.
She is. I think in high school, my dad gave me the book Codependent No More. So,
oh my God.
Been working on that one for years.
Right? Oh, I think I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that there is a common thread of that within creatives?
I mean,
like this kind of creative, like artistic
the world
creatives.
of performance and performing arts. That's a really good question. I think there are a lot of type A personalities in this field, and there's a lot of addiction in this field to mute some of the type A personality experience happening. And yeah, I mean, it's a job of looking to others for approval.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially how it's created. But the career path is also as an actor, and I think to some extent a dancer and fine artist and musician, you are emotionally filleting yourself in front of strangers for the sake of someone else. Like their vision that you're presenting or sharing with strangers. And so there is high enmeshment, high codependency happening in those systems. And there, I mean, I think many times when you're in a play, or I'm not in film, so I don't know if you have a similar experience of this, of it becoming a family, and then family dynamics show up. Whatever family systems were in play in your life are recreated. You take on a role that you may have played in childhood with the makeup of the other people in the production as well.
Yeah, it exists. I think that there's also, it's a perfect breeding ground for narcissists.
Sure.
And narcissists and codependents are like buddies who skip through the woods together, you know? And then the narcissist pushes you off the cliff, you know? And you're like, it was my fault! As you fall down. I'm sorry! You know? I think that too is a war on creativity. It has been for me.
Yeah.
Is my codependency with those kinds of relationships and those kinds of people.
Yeah, that's a big challenge to overcome, or I hate to say like overcome, but just navigate, because you're really going through it and making choices about how you interact with people and what happens to your creativity when you bump up against
trusting
that.
your voice, trusting your instrument and your like whatever's trying to show up through you, right? Because like for me, that's the only experience I can talk about is the reason I could never trust myself is because I was always looking to try to appease that narcissistic energy that I had been exposed to from a very early age.
Yeah.
So I was always like, oh, I'll do whatever you want.
That becoming the chameleon, you know, I think in acting, we're asked to do that quite a bit. So actually learning who we are as people is kind of put to the back. It's, you know, 100%. Back burner. We 100%. Spend more time focusing on how can I become someone else or this character, and less time focused on who am I. So there's some deficits happening.
For sure. I think for me, I didn't think Shawn belonged in the conversation. For a long time, I was like, well, I don't belong here. I should, because, you know, I'm a character actor. I literally turn into other people.
Yes.
Like that's
I have seen it happen.
That's what I do. And so it's like, when I really started to look at that, I had a teacher, her name was Margie Haber. She's a pretty well-respected acting teacher. And she said, wow, you've got some skills of keeping you out of this conversation. And I went, what? She's like, yeah, you put Shawn in the corner and you've told him that he can't be part of this. And that was a big moment of learning how to trust myself, because I went, wait, that dude over there can be part I can see what I mean? Like it all kind of started, that was when it started to converge into itself. And I started finding my actual authentic self.
Yeah. Do you feel that the pieces that you're doing now, you bring Shawn into the character, or when you become someone else, there's more of a conversation between those two components?
Yeah. There's definitely more of a conversation than there was before. There's more of an awareness of what in this is asking me to. I firmly believe in creating as an actor. My job is to build a bridge to the thing that's furthest away from me, and to find myself in that thing that is maybe the character's experience, circumstance, whatever. And so in that, I have played really dark, scary people, and to admit that that piece lives in me somewhere, and to connect with it, and to bring Shawn into the conversation and be like, wait, this is my perspective of this. This is who I am as this person. Is scary. It's been scary. It's been liberating. It's all those things all at the same time. And what I find now, like as I'm creating, the roles have shifted because my mindset has shifted. For the first time in my life, I'm being asked to audition to be the hero, not just the fucked up kid.
Right. But it also sounds like your capacity has shifted. That there's an embracing of those aspects of yourself too. And
so the creativity has just changed, and it's become challenging in a different way.
Right.
You know?
That makes sense.
So now I'm like, oh, what's it like to be over here and create from this place? But yeah, I always, whether I'm producing, directing, writing, there's always a piece of me in all of that. There's a piece of all of us in that.
Yeah.
Peter Dunn, I think is his name. He has this book called Emotional Structure. It's for writers.
Okay.
I highly recommend for any writer out there who's looking to write screenplays or even can apply to a novel. But he said you should, it's so beautiful. I'm totally going to butcher it, so sorry, Peter. He says your protagonist, you should be healing a part of yourself through your protagonist. You get to rewrite it the way it should have gone.
Yeah.
And I went, that's cool. So I get to take this piece of me that these things happen to, and this time I get to win. Yeah,
it's a very therapeutic structure. There's the storytelling that can happen in therapy too can help you resolve traumatic events or help you cycle through something in your life by recreating it and taking ownership of it in a different way. Yeah, I like that in terms of, bringing that into your creative expression or creativity experience.
Totally.
Yeah.
It brings a level of authenticity to it too, because people can't put their finger on it, but they go, there's something here that feels so real. And you don't have to be filleting yourself in front of people.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't, because you're just going, I don't know what it is. I don't know why that character feels so visceral and real. Yeah.
Some little tricks.
Yeah.
But I like it. I think it definitely adds more layers and more authenticity, but more things for people to connect with.
And the one thing that people connect with more than anything is when they look at somebody and they go, that feels real. That's what I always tell any of my clients that I'm coaching as teens or young adults in acting or whoever. It's like, it's not about talent, is about your ability to be authentic in front of people.
Yeah.
We abhor acting, actually.
Right.
Like when people are acting, we're like, ugh. ugh, get it away. But when somebody's just being, we're like, damn, that's good shit right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So who from your perspective inspires you in that they just are being?
Well, I mean, the first person that jumps into my mind right now, because it's an ever changing, and he's on my wall, Paul Newman. Paul Newman, I just thought had such a capacity of empathy for humanity, for like all kinds of things. And he was the first one to say, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I have to work at it. I'm not good at it. But you know, when you watch his stuff, you're like, wow, he's just being. He's so authentic. He's so like whatever. So that's one person that I really admire creatively, because he did good in the world, and he also didn't. He was the first. He never went to an awards ceremony. He just didn't believe in that stuff. He was like, that's not why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And so I really admire that. Most recently, I discovered this actor on Ozark, the 3rd season of Ozark.
Okay.
Holy Mary, Mother of God. I need to look up his name, because I was like, who are you? What are you doing? You're so authentic. You're so out there in the work, and you're just insane. He plays Wendy's brother. So Wendy is played by Laura Linney.
Okay.
And he plays her brother Ben. And let's see what his name is. Because I'm totally gonna. Tom Pelfrey. His name is Tom Pelfrey. I was like, jaw open. Because I was just like, what are you doing? And it's people like that. Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
But then there's people like Maya Angelou. There's people like Oprah. There's people like, and I know this is going to be very controversial, what I'm about to say, Donald Trump. That I go, look at you. You are just creating your reality.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, that's his point of view. And he does it without apology. He may not be accountable, in my humble opinion, for things, but he is going full-fledged in his vision, his idea, whatever. And
there's an undying commitment.
Yeah. And that, I have to say, I really admire your undying commitment to, in my humble opinion, again, try to matter or whatever. That's just my opinion. But, you know, I do admire his commitment, as you said.
Yeah, that commitment. I don't agree with anything that comes out of
it.
No,
I don't either. But I can admire you. Wow, you really...
You are committed.
You're going for it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, the collection of people that are really authentic and show up in that way is inspiring.
For sure. Another person that just popped into my mind is Shailene Woodley, who is a friend of mine, and from a very early age, she was able to create with such accountability, and she was able to create with such a commitment without expectation of any sort of reward or whatever. And I always was like, wow, look at how you were just out there. You're just flying out there.
Yeah, there's a freedom.
When you're watching somebody in the flow.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, what's going on over there?
It's hard not to get pulled into it with them.
Yeah, it's a vortex. Yeah. It's a vortex of good, I think. And you're just like, whoa, pull me in, pull me in, pull me in. But there's a lot of surrender.
Which is, I think, something that gets in our way of creativity a lot of time.
100%. It's about the pursuit of surrender.
I'm curious, for you in your life now, what is bringing you joy?
What's bringing me joy right now? My own company.
Hmm.
For the first time in my life. That brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
I never really loved myself, so that's brought me joy.
Mm-hmm.
My kids that I work with, the young ones, that brings me a lot of joy because I get to be the person for them that I didn't have growing up. Those are the things that bring me joy, of being like, I left it a little better than I found it.
Yeah, I like that. Hearing that, I notice I have a little joy being able to just hear that experience of supporting other people. So I'm going to wrap us up a little bit. So I've been asking everyone these two questions. And the first one is, what's an everyday issue in your life you had to use creativity to solve?
Okay. An everyday issue in my life that I had to use creativity to solve.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You found one.
I found one. Hunger.
Hunger. Say more.
Well, you have to create something to or make a choice, right? To suffice that hunger, that thing. And so now, because of the world that we find ourselves in, that everyday challenge that I come across 3, maybe 10 times a day, depends on the day of how hungry I am. I have to use creativity. And so I've been learning recipes. And it's forced me to really use my creativity and trust myself, trust my palate, trust like all of these things. But yeah, that would be my answer, is hunger, dealing with hunger and feeding myself.
Yeah.
For others.
Yeah. But the creativity in the kitchen is real.
It's real, folks. Every day.
Real. And sometimes it comes out purely terrible.
Sometimes your creativity is, I'm popping this in the microwave. That's my creativity of this moment.
My creativity this evening, we are ordering pizza.
Yeah, I'm going to trust somebody else's creativity to make this moment happen.
Exactly.
Totally.
Well, my last question is, what is your secret to creativity?
Surrender. Larry Moss, I had the privilege of working with him on a project, and he's arguably one of the living legends of acting and storytelling. He said, he's such a sweet man. He's getting up there in age, so if you have the opportunity to work with him, do. If you're listening to this, read his book, The Intent to Live. That's his book. But he said, pal, he always calls you pal. He said, you feel that tension? Just release. You're blocking creativity. You're blocking you. So anytime I feel tension, I surrender and I release. I'm trying to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Because that's really what, throughout the conversation, is the common denominator. There is a tension that shows up that blocks the channel. And I think surrender is the key.
Yeah. And having awareness when that tension happens, you have more capacity to surrender or make the choice to surrender in the moment.
And everybody's path to surrender is going to be different.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Just because my way is my way doesn't mean that your way is wrong.
Exactly.
Try it, see if it works for you. And if it don't, leave it behind.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Shawn, for chatting with me about creativity. And it's so good to see your face. And
so good to see your face. Before we part ways, what is your secret to creativity?
My secret to creativity? Right now, my secret to creativity is finding safety and trust within myself that opens me up to take bigger creative risks in my life.
Do you have a tool or a practice? Because I want to steal it. Because I like the sound of that. That's sexy.
It is. Yeah. So it's something I've done a lot of work on, and I work actually with performers on, is through movement. How do you find safety in your body? What does it feel like to have a foundation of safety? And then through movement, what does it feel like to have foundation of trust? And what happens when they come together in your system? So for me, when I'm sitting in a chair, finding my spine on the back of the chair is really helpful. Feeling I have support, feeling I have a groundedness in my torso. If I am noticing that I have a shortness of breath or my breathing is more in my throat, how can I drop it into my stomach? If my thoughts are all over the place, how can I focus them? So I'll do a breathing exercises, like a 4 square breathing, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, which will help create a nervous system recalibration. And so,
ooh, that felt good.
Yeah.
I like that. So breathe, what'd you call it? Breathing.
4 square breathing.
4 square breathing.
But how can people find you if they want to reach out? I know you do coaching and you're a performer extraordinaire and director and writer and
well, easiest way is to just search my name, full name, Shawn, SHAWN, Caulin, CAULIN, YOUNG. I have a website. That's my handle on social media. It's my full name.
Perfect. And do you have any upcoming projects for people to look out for, or?
Yeah, so a film that I did that was formerly known as Heart Baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Hammer now. It's going to be coming out May 5th. I produced and starred in that film. And so that is being re-released. It'll be available in Walmart and all these different platforms online. So that's really cool. And then I, as a director, am finishing a 20-minute short that's titled Dumb Bitch. And it's about codependency.
Oh, nice.
It's a thriller, psychological thriller.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so like us on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends, tag your family so they can listen too. We love to hear what you think and your thoughts, so leave your comments, your reviews, and questions. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode, and remember, with creativity, anything's possible.